You think you know when a woman is falling for you, but I promise you, you don't. Because the truth is, when a woman is truly catching feelings, she doesn't tell you. She hides it. She buries it under composure, sarcasm, or indifference. And that's where most men get lost. They chase words while missing the truth that's written all over her silence. What I'm about to reveal in this video will change how you see every woman who's ever crossed your path. Because there are secret signs, psychological, emotional, even spiritual, that she's already falling for you. Even when she's trying her hardest to hide it. You'll start to notice how her tone shifts, how her energy changes, how her eyes can't lie even when her mouth does. You'll see that love doesn't always scream. Sometimes it whispers in ways only a man with awareness can hear. And if you learn to recognize those signs, you'll stop chasing the wrong women and finally understand the right ones. Because the woman who hides her feelings isn't being cold. She's being careful. She's protecting something sacred. And she's waiting to see if you're the kind of man who can make her feel safe enough to reveal it. If that's something you need to understand, hit subscribe right now and stay with me all the way to the end. Because the final section of this video contains the one shift that separates the average man from the one she finally stops hiding from. Stay with me. Because once you see what's really happening beneath her silence, you'll never misread love again. 1. Her silence is not distance. It is depth. You can always tell when a woman is beginning to fall for a man. Not because she says it, but because she can't completely hide it. Her silence begins to speak in ways words never could. It's subtle, quiet, yet powerful enough to change the entire energy between you. Most men miss this entirely. They're too focused on what she's saying, waiting for a confession, for a sign that spells it out clearly. But love doesn't always announce itself with fireworks. Sometimes it whispers through micro moments that only an emotionally aware man can sense. When a woman starts to fall, her body and her emotions betray her before her words ever do. Her eyes begin to linger, but when you notice, she quickly looks away. Not because she's disinterested, but because you've just caught her in the act of feeling. That fleeting second when her gaze drops or her lips press together is her heart's reflex to being seen. You've touched something she's not ready to admit yet. And her instinct is to retreat, not out of rejection, but out of fear of exposure. The psychologist Carl Rogers wrote, "The curious paradox is that when I accept myself just as I am, then I can change." A woman who hides her feelings has not yet accepted the depth of what she feels. She is still in the process of making peace with her own emotion, and that process looks, from the outside, exactly like silence. When she pauses before responding, when her voice softens slightly, when she remembers something you said weeks ago, these are her subconscious attempts at connection. It's her heart trying to express itself while her mind tries to maintain control. So what does the self-aware man actually do when he notices this? He stops waiting for verbal confirmation and starts reading the room. He pays attention to the energy, not just the words. He notices the pause, the softened tone, the extra second of eye contact. And rather than calling it out or demanding clarity, he simply acknowledges it internally and responds with calm, steady presence. His awareness becomes his advantage. Not a tool for manipulation, but a foundation for genuine connection. Her silence isn't indifference. It's depth she hasn't found the words for yet. And the man who understands this truth will also understand why she sometimes pulls back, not in spite of her feelings, but precisely because of them. 2. She pulls away because she cares too much. When a woman starts acting distant, colder, or less responsive, most men panic. They assume she's losing interest or that she's playing games. But in truth, the psychology behind that behavior is far more complex and far more revealing. A woman who begins to pull away when she's emotionally drawn to you isn't rejecting you. She's protecting herself from the possibility of getting hurt. Her fear isn't about you specifically. It's about what falling for you represents. Falling means surrendering control. It means risking disappointment. It means being seen. And that kind of vulnerability terrifies most people, especially women who have been emotionally bruised before. You feel the slight delay in her replies. The way she suddenly becomes busy. It's her way of creating emotional distance to manage the intensity of what she's feeling. She's trying to convince herself that she's not falling too hard, too fast. She's building a wall, not to block you out, but to stop herself from running too deep, too soon. The psychologist John Bowlby wrote, "The propensity to make strong emotional bonds to particular individuals is a basic component of human nature. When those bonds begin to form, and they form faster than the conscious mind can process, the fear response activates just as powerfully as the attraction. Her withdrawal is not the opposite of feeling. It is feeling, in its most unmanaged, overwhelming form. So what does the self-aware man do when she starts pulling away? He doesn't chase. He doesn't go cold in return. He doesn't send the desperate text asking what's wrong. He simply continues moving forward in his own life, showing up with the same calm energy he carries everywhere else. He checks in occasionally with something light and genuine, not to pull her back, but to remind her quietly that he is still there, steady, unbothered, safe. Her withdrawal is not the end of the story. It is the beginning of her deciding whether you are worth the risk. And the man who stays grounded during that test is the man she eventually runs toward. But the withdrawal is only one layer of what's happening inside her. There's something deeper driving it, and once you understand it, her mixed signals will never confuse you again. 3. Her fear is proof of how much you matter. Women do not fear love. They fear unsafe love. They fear being emotionally invested in someone who won't hold their heart with care. That's why the strongest emotional attraction often triggers the deepest fear. When she feels something rare and powerful, her mind immediately rushes to remind her of every time she trusted too easily, gave too much, or got hurt for believing. That inner battle plays out through her mixed signals. One part of her wants to run toward you. The other part wants to retreat to safety. So what you see on the outside is inconsistency. One moment she's open and warm. The next she's distant. It's not manipulation. It's hesitation. She's wrestling between the desire to surrender and the instinct to protect herself. The philosopher Soren Kierkegaard wrote, "To dare is to lose one's footing momentarily. Not to dare is to lose oneself." She is standing at that exact edge, between daring to feel fully and protecting herself from what feeling fully might cost her. Every time she goes quiet, she is deciding whether to dare. The paradox is this. Her fear is proof of how deeply she already cares. She wouldn't be this guarded if you didn't matter. Indifference doesn't create anxiety. Attachment does. The very fact that she's holding back means she's already emotionally involved. So, what does the self-aware man do when he recognizes her fear for what it is? He stops taking her mixed signals personally. He reframes every moment of withdrawal as confirmation, not rejection. He understands that a woman who feels nothing gives no signals at all. Her confusion is her caring. His job is not to fix her fear or rush past it, but to remain so consistently steady that her fear gradually loses its grip. Consistency is not passive. It is the most powerful thing a man can offer a woman who is afraid to trust. Her fear reveals her investment. But investment also shows up in something far more subtle, something she does without even realizing it. 4. She mirrors your energy without realizing it. When a woman is beginning to fall for a man, her body and behavior start to mirror his unconsciously, instinctively, without any deliberate decision. She matches your energy in the room. Her laughter becomes more genuine around you. Her attention sharpens when you speak. She listens more carefully, as if your words carry weight that no one else's do. That's not politeness. That's emotional investment. When a woman is falling for you, her silence becomes emotionally charged. Every pause, every look, every shift in her tone holds meaning. She's not testing you, she's feeling you. She's trying to decide if her emotions are safe with you. And in doing so, she unconsciously reflects your energy back at you like a mirror. The psychologist Albert Mehrabian established, the most important thing in communication is hearing what isn't said. What she is communicating through her mirroring is something no direct statement could ever convey as honestly that your presence has already registered in her nervous system as significant. Her body knows before her mind admits it. If you pay close attention, you'll notice how the tension in her body softens around you, how her laughter sounds different, how she positions herself in the room relative to where you are. These are not coincidences. They are the physical language of emotional connection in its earliest, most honest stage. So, what does the self-aware man do when he notices she's mirroring him? He becomes intentional about the energy he brings. He arrives calm, grounded, and present because he understands that she is literally feeling what he projects. He doesn't perform or try to impress. He simply shows up as the most settled version of himself. Because a man whose energy is worth mirroring is a man whose presence naturally draws her in. She mirrors you because something in her already recognizes you. But there's another sign that reveals her investment even more intimately, one that lives not in her body language, but in her memory. 5. She remembers everything you say. A woman who is falling for you doesn't just hear your words. She stores them. She replays them. She brings them back up at unexpected moments. Details you mentioned once in passing, preferences you casually shared, a story you told weeks ago that she references naturally in conversation today. Most men walk right past this sign without recognizing what it means. They think she has a good memory, but what she actually has is emotional investment. When someone occupies your thoughts, when their words and moments replay in your mind long after the conversation ends, you remember what they said. Not because you tried to, because you couldn't stop thinking about them. The psychologist William James wrote, "The art of being wise is the art of knowing what to overlook." A woman falling for you overlooks nothing about you. She pays attention on a level that bypasses her rational filter entirely because her emotions have already decided that you matter. Did you casually mention your favorite coffee weeks ago, and suddenly she's bringing it up? Does she recall something small that you honestly forgot you even told her? That's not coincidence. That's the quiet, undeniable proof that you have been living in her thoughts. So, what does the self-aware man do when he realizes she remembers everything? He becomes more intentional about what he shares, not in a calculating way, but in a meaningful one. He understands that what he says leaves an impression that lasts far longer than the conversation. He speaks with substance. He shares things that matter. And when she brings something back up that he said weeks ago, he doesn't brush it off. He leans into it. He acknowledges it. Because in that moment, she is showing him something vulnerable. And the man who receives that with presence deepens the trust immeasurably. She remembers because you matter to her. But the deepest test of whether you are truly worth that investment happens not in the warm moments, but in the difficult ones. 6. She tests your emotional stability. When a woman hides her emotions, it's not a game. It's a language. And how you respond to that silence determines whether you ever get to see the truth behind it. She's watching your energy. She wants to see what kind of man you are when she's not giving you what you want, because that's when your true character shows. Not when things are easy, but when she becomes emotionally unpredictable. She notices if you get irritated when she doesn't reply right away, if you go cold when she goes silent, if you punish her emotionally when she pulls back. In those quiet moments, she's not looking for perfection. She's looking for emotional safety. And safety is the foundation of every deep feminine connection. A woman's hidden emotions are not meant to confuse you. They're meant to reveal you. How do you respond when you're not in control? When she doesn't give you validation? When she's scared and uncertain? Most men either chase harder or give up entirely. Both reactions stem from insecurity, from needing her emotional availability to feel powerful. The Stoic philosopher Marcus Aurelius wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." Emotional stability is exactly that power in practice, the ability to remain centered when the world around you, or the woman in front of you, becomes uncertain. So, what does the self-aware man do when she's testing his emotional stability? He stays consistent. He doesn't punish her silence with silence. He doesn't respond to coldness with anger. He doesn't demand emotions she isn't ready to share. He simply keeps showing up, calm, kind, steady, without making her emotional uncertainty about him. He understands that his composure in this moment is not weakness. It is the single most attractive thing he can demonstrate. Because when a woman realizes that your energy doesn't waver when hers does, her fear begins to lose power. And that's when she stops running. She's been testing for safety. Now, let's talk about how the man who passes that test actually behaves, and what separates him from every other man she's encountered.